It runs on triple bars. The graphics are literally like insane.
Oh, what's it? Yeah,
Oh, that microphone off.
yeah, I thought you were talking
Thank you.
You're in Bali, the Sari nightclub district. Having a good time in one of those awesome nightclubs you hear about there. Bang! Bomb goes off. Ball bearings and body parts are flying everywhere, killing people. You hear screams of 202 foreign nationals. You see 209 people being dismembered. Chairs, tables, dancers, and other inanimate objects are being torn apart and destroyed. The three perpetrators, the bombers, were rightly put to death. The victims of this tragedy could build this theatre, but all the people affected would overflow the MCG. Those three men who were responsible for killing 202 people, 88 of them Australians, were put through the Indonesian court system and were put to death because of their crime. Now, opposition to this, the putting to death of these three, has been in the form of morality mostly. First argument of morality is Christian morality, that it is unchristian to have killed these three people. Well, I would like to point out that none of the three of these bombers were at all Christian. The country they were executed in was not Christian. The judges were not Christian. Christianity does not come into this. Indonesia is a step away from Islamic Shariah law, which is not Christian. Kevin Rudd and many other humanitarians argued it was unjust to kill these prisoners, though I haven't seen them arguing for any other prisoners who have been put on death row. Also, the very fact that they're not in Australia justifies the fact that it's un-Australian. Because, see, here we may have a barbecue for breakfast, ride kangaroos to school, and play cricket in the summer. In Indonesia, they have torrential rain, unlike a drought here in Australia. Rice is the primary food source, and it is law to kill prisoners. Another argument against the killing of the three Bali bombers is that it violated international retroactive law. This is true because it was illegal to use retroactive law in sentencing these three prisoners to death. However, had the judges not instated retroactive law that demanded their death, they would have used 202 counts of murder and 209 counts of attempted murder. This is definitely a death sentence, therefore justifying their deaths, regardless of the court system or laws they went through. It was going to happen. There are two ways about it. The people of Bali are now resolute to terrorism. People walk around with shirts saying, "Bin Laden don't serve," the ultimate of surf put-downs. Other people have argued that putting them in prison would have been more just. However, had these men been in prison, they would still be able to see their family. They'd get to go shopping sometimes. They would write biographies. Those biographies would be read by other Islamic extremists who would also carry on with bombing people. Their deaths have presented this. People say that killing them would incite more violence. However, I haven't heard of any significant bombing attempts in Bali since, which renders this argument infallible. The terrorists who were responsible were from an Islamic school headed by a radical Islamic cleric who is against all of Western culture. They were brought up in this situation in order to mentally prepare them for their own deaths and killing many others. Had it not been a bombing without had it been a bombing with suicide, the same effect would have happened. These men would have died. Another argument against their death is that they believe they're going to a better place. However, the same people argue the Christian idea, which is where God punishes people who sin. So those arguing the Christian idea believe that these men are going to a paradise where God sentences them to eternal damnation. This doesn't make sense. So arguments against the bombers' deaths are incoherent and not able to be followed very well. So I summarise. The Bali bombers were going to die no matter what, whether it was by firing squad, by their own bombs, or whether the families of the victims went over there and killed them with their own bare hands. The laws put in place to put them through the court system may not have been legal, but certainly had legal systems been put through, yes, they would have died. And those who believe that the Bali bombers shouldn't have died, and that it was un-Australian, Indonesia is not Australia.